Well, it's one thing for me to talk about uh, dreaming and what that looks like and giving you the principles, but it's another thing to actually hear somebody who is walking, and that word walking is a verb, so that means that they're still doing it, just like I am walking out their dreams, and all the way from beautiful California. Cali, as some people call it in the US, but for my international listeners, all the way from California, we have Miss Diamond Chanel. I mean, does that sound like somebody who's into fashion or what? And she is my client, and she's going to share her remarkable and transformational journey of the dream that she's walking out. So, Diamond, welcome to the Law of Attraction Radio Network.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Okay, and I told Diamond she's gonna have to. She looking cute if you're watching this, but she's gonna have to speak up a little loud. So, with a name like Diamond Chanel, which is for a long time. By the way, I am her coach. I didn't know your middle name was Chanel. So we're talking to people about keep moving, keep believing, keep expecting, keep walking out your big dream. So I want you to share your experience. So you were in Michigan and you had a dream of working in Hollywood or LA. Tell us about that. And what was it like to make that big jump?
Oh, wow. Can you hear me better? I did adjust
I
the
hear you.
audio. Okay, great. So when we first started coaching, yeah, I was still living in Michigan. I'm from Detroit. Really love my city and had built something really beautiful there, built a store and was always into fashion, always into sewing and garments and everything. But I just never thought California was the path for me. Like it always seemed way too hard or, I hadn't really imagined leaving my family like that. And it got to the point where I just really couldn't ignore it. I remember me and you were talking. I'm like, I don't know why. I just want to go out there. My best friend was here at the time, and I came and visited her for like a month. I didn't want to go home. And then ever since then, I was like, I think I have to go back to California. And I'm like, I know it's kind of crazy. I don't have a real plan, but I got to get back out there. So it's crazy. When we first started talking, I didn't know that that would be my journey and my path. And now I'm here and it's been over a year and a half at this point.
Wow, a
Um,
year and a half. And
yeah,
were you afraid? I'm talking to people who know something. I mean, anytime there is a restlessness, you know that you don't have the grace to keep doing what you've been doing. It's good, but there's a pulling on the inside. So you had to sell your house,
yeah,
leave
I
a
had
relationship, and
to.
go to a brand new city. What did that feel like being in a new city?
Amazing and terrifying all at once. I didn't really know anyone, didn't have any real connections. So I was really starting over from scratch and just being in my 30s, which I know it's not that old, but once you're in it, it feels a little older. So I'm thinking, oh, like this is kind of late to be starting over. I don't know what I'm about to do. How am I going to make money? And then everyone was telling me it was so expensive. So when I was moving, honestly, most people I didn't tell. Like to this day, some people are like, oh, you actually live in California? Because I never did a whole big thing because I knew anytime I brought it up, people were telling me it's so expensive, it's so this, it's so that. So I knew like this big change was happening, but only like the people closest to me knew about it. So that also makes it scary. And I think I was most terrified to fail. Um, and I remember us having a lot of sessions about that. Even when I was out here, I had this big fear of what if I have to go home? What if I have to go home? Um, like
I
what if I don't
remember
make it?
that. I remember that.
Yeah,
And you were wise. Everybody who's watching this, whatever you do, move in silence and only share with people who will say you can do that. go for it. And I think I said to you in many of our sessions, go ahead and do it afraid. And she didn't
Mm-hmm.
have a plan. You know, the Bible talks about your gift will make room for you. So she moved out there, and even people's own fears around, oh my God, the cost of gas, the cost of living. And she
Mm-hmm.
shared it with people, me and her family members who were rooting for her, and we were in faith. And even though she was afraid of failure, I encouraged her strongly, which many times she didn't like it. I don't think so, to do it afraid. How did you feel doing it afraid?
You know, I was very scared, but from our sessions, I realized I had spent so much time waiting.
Mm,
And at that point, I was more fearful of continuing to be in this waiting energy, like waiting to leave the relationship, waiting to move, waiting for everything to align. I was like, if I wait too long, I don't know if I'll be here. Like I can't keep waiting. So eventually that fear got bigger than just leaving and starting over.
I love that. And so you're in California, you don't really have a plan. And I kept saying your steps are ordered of God, and what can you do? And she started doing pop-ups, which she hated doing those. Explain to listeners what a pop-up is and why didn't you like doing those?
So a pop-up is just when you bring your goods to a market or on the
Hmm.
street or wherever you bring the store to the customer. So I worked a long time in Michigan doing pop-ups and worked a long time to get a brick and mortar store so I could eventually stop doing pop-ups because I hated lugging everything, unloading, reloading. It just felt like so much energy. And then I came out here and I really did not want to work for a while because I was just so burnt out from my other business. So that was a big part of it too. And then it got to the point where it's like, okay, I still have to pay bills. I still have to do X, Y, Z. And I remember talking to you and I was like, I mean, I can get some inventory and like sell it, whatever. And I was like, but I didn't come all the way out to California just to do what I was already doing. Like, I think that's verbatim what I said, like, head
It's
not
verbatim.
enough. So I was really reluctant to do it. But now I see that it was just a journey and a path and leading me to the next thing.
I love that it was a journey and a path. And what I want to say to anybody who's watching or listening, what's in your hand and what can you do? Now, Diamond felt like if I do pop-ups, I could have done that back in Michigan. I said, no, you're just doing what's in your hand and what we know to do. And she was like, I'm the one out here in this sun. I think that's what she said, everybody. But when you do what you can do in those moments, God will open doors for you. And we're going to talk about how your career has taken off. So what about money? How are you feeling about money? Because one of the main reasons that people say, I can't pursue my dream because I don't have any money. What was your thinking and feeling about money, and how has that shifted?
That's a really good question. I remember talking to you about this too, because I felt like that's the probably my biggest hurdle was the money and the mindset around it. As much as I
Hmm.
understood it as a concept, in practice and in being was actually very different. And I thought me understanding meant that, okay, I got it. Like everything's clicking now. But it's really different to live it and walk it out. So a pattern that I noticed with you, and that you may have even brought it up, was I had this pattern of um, not enough or just enough.
Yeah.
And we would talk about money, but eventually I realized it was everywhere. So we recognized that pattern of like, even though I'm grateful, but it's just enough. Like
Hmm.
just being that's exhausting out in California. Because it's just you're always on this grind. It feels like you're always on this wheel. So that was a big pattern that I had to learn is to not only be grateful, but to see it as well. I have more than enough. Even if I have more, even if I have $1 in my account, like that's more than enough. And it took me a long time to learn that the abundance is in the day to day. Because I would think in months or in quarters and think, okay, well, like I'm gonna need rent by this date, and I'm at this, and I spent this. I was always doing these calculations, and I had to realize I have everything that I need today, which is
Yes.
amazing, and I'm grateful for that, and that means that I'm abundant. And
Good.
I also had to learn, this is really important too, it's just to ask for help and to receive help. So I don't think I was doing any of that before our sessions because I just felt I needed to do it by myself. I'm a big sister, I'm the oldest, and it's just like that's how it's supposed to be, that's how it is. But that has really shifted for me, just being able to receive and being able to, like, if someone say, "Hey, do you need help?" I would literally say no, like, which was a lie. And now I'm just like, "Yeah, sure, I could use that," or "Oh, that would be nice," like it's not as like I used to cringe at the thought of getting any kind of help. And
Right.
at some points, I had to ask for help because I was out here by myself, not a lot of support. So I was kind of forced into it. But now it's been really good. And now it's just, more of a practice.
And what it is, thank you for sharing that. What it is, Diamond, everybody who's watching and or listening, is shame. And so
Hmm.
when you're in an abundant vibration, you give and you receive. I've had so many people when I first got started to help me, and that was something I had to work through. I felt like you should never ask for money. You should have it together by now. All of those core beliefs. And so, what Diamond was working through was just those core beliefs. But one thing I'm going to say about you, we had many a session, but she kept moving. She kept moving. Remember, I had you to do, I knew that her abundance was inside out. And I had her to do, a lot of inner work, the abundance book. And she would come back and say, well, how come money hasn't shown up yet? And I would say, Diamond, you expanding your consciousness. You're building your faith. You're increasing your vibration. Just keep doing it. And so she was looking at 3D, y'all. I'm going to teach about 3D after the commercial. What's 3D? Your circumstances, what you don't have, what your five senses can see, feel, and touch. And so she began to get back in 4 and 5D. And so your business, you didn't want to do pop-ups anymore. So tell us how your business has expanded. So you guys, what are you? You are a designer. Tell the people what you are.
A fashion wardrobe stylist, a tailor, and a designer. So pretty much all things wardrobe at this
Okay.
point. Really leaning into the tailoring right now, but what happened is really just walking the path and letting everything unfold and not quitting and not giving up, even though I really wanted to. So after when I moved here, I'm doing the pop ups, and eventually I get connected to do a styling shoot on set. And that's just when you pick out the clothes for everyone, bring it to the set, take photos, or it can be for anything. The Met Gala, it can be for day to day. It's really open. But what I did is brought some clothes on set, and that was the first time I really got paid. Like, oh, this is a nice amount for something that I always did for free, like in my other business or even just back home, because the industry isn't in Michigan. You can style, but you may not, the price point is different. I'll just leave it at that. So I started doing more of that, started getting really lucky with that. And then I started tailoring and doing customs, which I was always doing because I would bring custom pieces to the pop up, but I felt like they weren't moving the way I wanted them to. Um, so fast forward, this is around the time of the fires in January. I had always fixed my friends' clothes and they would give me their clothes, but I wouldn't tell other people that I was doing that. So something I was really back against the wall in January. Like I don't even think my December rent was paid, to be honest. And I was like, I don't know what I'm about to do, but I'm not leaving.
Mm.
So something told me to like, okay, like your friends know that you tailor, they've been reaching out to you, tell other people. So mind you, I didn't have no money. Hence, why the rent was still needed to be paid. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go to the library. I found out that you can print 25 sheets of black and white a day. I said, okay, I'm gonna go to the library, I'm gonna make a flyer, and I'm gonna print out 25 sheets every day, put 25 up every day. Because I would always walk past the library and like, just walk around the
Mm-hmm.
neighborhood. So I did that, and it was funny. Literally the first time I put them up, they all flew away because of the fires. All of them were gone. But I didn't have a choice, right? I had to try again. I said, okay, I'm going to try again, and I just kept trying again every day, putting up a little bit of flyers. And I think you told me to put them up with love and to put them up just knowing that anything can happen, anyone can see it.
I
Uh,
did. Mm-hmm.
you did. So, and that's what started happening. People started rolling in. And then again, I had the pattern pop up of, oh, this isn't enough. Like, oh, I can't just do hymns. I can't just, this isn't sustainable. And then I started having more clients come and I realized actually it is sustainable,
Mm.
but maybe they need to bring in a certain amount of clothing pieces. So then I started implementing that. Like, okay, if you bring in 6 items or more, yada, 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 I'll give you a discount because I have a retail background. So I know, okay, if I get XYZ, then that's bringing up, my average orders every day. Um, and that's how that started. And word of mouth is really crazy. It's really spreading like wildfire right now. I have people calling, text, everything every day. I'm like, have Google my business page now for tailoring. And it's funny, all the tailoring now has led to people reaching out. They want more custom pieces. Now people are reaching out because they want me to style them and see that I can tailor also. So everything I thought that wasn't working, which is another pattern I had, I thought nothing was working from the gym to career. I said everything I do isn't working. This meditation Constance, it ain't working. That's how I always
That's what you
felt.
said.
And once I realized, oh, you think this about everything, like it's not that it's not working, it's you. So then I had to rewire, and it's still a constant every day of just remembering it is working. Even if I can't see it today, even if my waist is 1 inch, bigger, it doesn't mean that it's not working. So now everything is working, and I like genuinely believe it and genuinely can see it. I'm like, okay, everything's working. Like I just had someone reschedule and cancel, and me would have been really annoyed because I'm like, oh, like that would have been nice money. But I'm like, oh, okay, I must be getting like a bigger client coming in. I'm like, okay, that's fine. It'll still
I
work
love
out.
that. So you believe me now. Okay, Diamond, you believe me now when I said it was working. Let me break down your journey. So Diamond, she didn't want to do pop-ups, but she did them. And she really wanted to be in the designer vibe, but she started working with what she had. I really admire that you walked around, put my head set up a little bit, that you walked around and that you would put up flyers very diligently. And what was she doing? She was working with what she had. She really didn't want to do tailoring because she said, I really don't want to do this. But when you are faithful over a small thing, that's what the Bible said, then God will make you ruler over much. So when you are faithful over what you do have. And so then I start going on IG, Instagram, and Diamond, I'm like, she's in photo shoots. I'm like, hold up, hold up. She didn't have time to call her coach back because she was so busy. But the fact, this is the principle, everybody, the fact that God was taking her, the Bible says from glory to glory. Quantum physics says from level to level, from vibration to vibration. The fact, Diamond, that you said, I'm going to be faithful with this tailoring, and she's faithful with putting her flyers up. She didn't know that it's not only word of mouth, you and the vibration. Now, it had to happen. It had to happen. And when you're operating in a spirit of excellence, people want more of you. So exponentially, things begin to multiply. It's a law. It's a law, and they get bigger and bigger. And now she got money rolling in every day, and now she sees that it is working. And now folk want you to do the designing part. Is that right?
Right.
What does that feel like? It's all incremental. And I'm not
Mhm.
surprised that we're having this conversation because, in my mind, as your coach, I always saw you and see you really. I told her, it ain't no doubt in my mind she's gonna be designing for somebody in Hollywood.
You did
Are
say
you
that.
beginning to see that?
I'm beginning to see it. I really am. More and more.
So here you are, and so you're getting all of these people who want tailoring. So how is the designing piece beginning to multiply?
Yeah, I'm now starting to have people reach out that want custom pieces for events usually. So, for example, I did a custom piece for a really big influencer for the WNBA, the orange carpet, which
Mm-hmm.
is, orange carpet is like their red carpet. So that went really well. And I've had more people reaching out that want things like that. It's like I realize I'm kind of now the timing is right. Now the timing is even better. And that's been fun because I have a unique design process. I don't really sketch. I always say I just pull it out of my head. Uh,
Oh, you don't sketch. I
no,
didn't
but
know that.
yeah, it is a goal of mine to start on that, and start drawing more. But as of now, I just do what I know how to do, which is funny because I used to think that that made me less valuable. But now I see, oh, it makes me more valuable because
Wow, yeah.
I can just pull it out, and I've been really lucky and fortunate to work with people that trust me enough to do that. And I literally have to have this conversation with them like, hey, I would love to do this. But I'm not about to really draw anything. You can tell me what kind of colors you want. But I have a vision in my mind and I'm just going to make that if that's okay. And I've been really fortunate that people are like, yeah, I would love that. And it
Wow.
works out best for both of us because I get to be really creative and then they get to have something that they really could not have imagined. So it's been really
Wow.
good.
So that means you're in your imagination, and God just downloads the idea for you through you for the person, and then you just make it.
Mhm.
That's genius right there. My designer, when he comes in my house, he says it's when he walks in. He has no idea what
Mhm.
he's going to do, but it's
Mhm.
when he walks in that it's downloaded to him what he should do. I
Mhm.
see that as genius. I didn't know you were that Diamond Chanel, that you were all of that. So what is your kind of like your new way of thinking, your new way of being, just
Mhm.
overall, and just your vibration these days that you can share with people?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I would share that took me a long time to get was that there is nothing to fix. You always
Mm,
tell me this, and I would be like, girl, I need to work on this. I need to work on that. Like, I had a laundry list of things to fix about myself. And it's not that I'm not always improving, but now I just don't see it as anything to fix. That
mm,
sure I can learn how to sketch when I feel like it, but right now that's nothing to fix.
mm,
Sure, I can work out and do XYZ, but there's nothing to fix about my body. Like there's nothing to fix. Like that was such a huge shift for me because I spent so much time like consuming YouTube or a video or podcast. Like, how
mhm,
can I do this? How can I, you see this one, like, how can I remove my blockages? How
mhm,
can I do
mhm.
this? How can I? And I would talk to you. I'd be like, I think I have a money block around this, blah, blah, blah. And you'd be like, but what if you don't?
Yeah.
And it took me a while to understand, but now I get it. And it's so powerful to just know that you are enough as you are right now and just continue to live in that and believe in that every day. It's not that you don't still improve because you do. It's just now it's not some forceful thing on the checklist and you use where you are today, who you are today, and you get there. And you know why? Because there is nothing to fix.
Okay, you preaching now, Diamond Chanel. And that is so true because really we're made in the image and likeness of God, and we're perfection. And
Hmm.
so any changes, that's why I don't agree with self-help. That's why
Hmm.
you just decide what you want. And I would tell Diamond, I said, who you are is enough right now. You don't have no money blocks. All you need to do is begin to change your mind. And when you're in the spirit and when you're flowing, the spirit will begin to say to you, like you realize that everything around you was not enough, or just,
Mm-hmm.
just barely getting by. Then stuff will come up. Those core beliefs will come up, but that's like a gift to you where you can just simply say, oh, I realize now why I've been thinking and feeling that, because I just picked up on a belief that I realize now no longer serves me. I'm just going to release that belief around lack and not enough. And that my new belief is, and you just begin walking in that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So proud of you.
Thank you.
So so when we coached the other day, I said, and I listened to you. I said, girl, you got it. And that does not mean that things won't come up.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have your own place now and a car, right?
Yeah. And I came out here with just a couple suitcases. One was mainly shoes.
Wow.
So it's great. I got my sewing machines, and well, I came out here with one sewing machine and a couple of suitcases. Now I have three sewing machines,
Wow.
so I can do whatever I want. A full closet, even though my closet is small for a stylist, it's very small. Um, but yeah, I have everything that I wrote down that I wanted.
Wow. And I can say this, to me, you're full of joy.
Hmm.
Did you notice that you laugh a lot and you smile a lot? Has anybody told you that?
Yeah, my mom has told me that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not your mom, I'm your coach, but I sense joy. I sense happiness. That doesn't mean that everything is perfect. I sense you really being intentional. Okay, today I'm going to do this. I don't know what
Hmm.
tomorrow holds, but today I'm going to do this. And
Hmm.
and I sense you really tapping into the spirit. And when you told me that you don't even sketch, but you just get something in your mind and design it, who does that? That's brilliance and genius to me. And as I said earlier, the Bible says your gift will make room for you. This is in Proverbs. You need to meditate on this one. Your gift will make room for you and bring you before kings. I'm going to say your gift is making room for you and bringing you towards celebrities. Same
Hmm.
concept. We could change that.
Hmm.
This time next year or not sooner, no doubt in my mind. So
I see
happy.
that
Well,
too.
okay. You have made nothing for your coach, but we'll talk about that off the air. So what would you say to somebody who's been thinking about coaching?
Well, I would say do it. I know sometimes we don't want to pay because
You're you're
it's just,
you're you're investing. You're not paying.
yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you're investing, you're not spending, you're investing. And I think it's been great. At the time when we started working together, I realized I wanted a team around me of support
Mm-hmm.
because I had always been an entrepreneur or a leader, but it's harder on your own. It really is.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need a team too, just like anyone else. So I'm grateful that you are on that team and
I
that
didn't
I
know I
get to
was
ben
on a team.
on the Diamond Chanel Elite Squad. Yes.
Oh my God.
Just like we see on the red carpet, the person gets the moment, but there's a whole team around them that created the look. And that's for life in general. So I would say if you're on the fence, to just do it and to do it, and you're gonna have your expectations because I sure did. I was like, I'm supposed to be rich by now, constantly working together. But you
Huh.
do have to just walk your own path and your own journey, but definitely do it. I think
Yeah,
it's put me light years ahead. If
it
I don't
has.
think I would be in California without the coaching.
Wow. I didn't know that. Well, a coach can tell you in 10 minutes what it took her 10 years.
Hmm.
And so anybody who's interested, um, email me. Let's do a free discovery call, free coaching discovery call. I'm just going to listen to you, not trying to sell you anything. And that's Constance at fulfillingyourpurpose.com. So, Diamond Chanel, you out there in Cali. So, if anybody wanted to reach out to you for tailoring or clothing designing, whatever you call it, how could they contact you? What is your social media platforms, etc.?
They can find me on Instagram at Diamond Chanel. It's D like dog, M like mouse, N like Nancy, Chanel. So DIYMIN Chanel. Find me
Okay.
there on Instagram. I have links to some of my work. We can work together virtually if you want to do some styling. If you want custom pieces, we can do that virtually as well. If you want me to come out and tailor something, I can do that. If you're in LA, you can come to my private studio, which is really cute and cozy. If you want me to travel to you, I can do that as well. So,
Ah,
yeah, you can find me there. You can DM me, email me, or even text me. That's cool.
all righty, everybody. So, Diamond, I am so happy for you and
Thank you.
so proud of you and so excited for you that you made a decision to really walk out your big dream. And I forgot that I had said to you when you were putting up the flyers until you said to do it in love and
Hmm.
not in the vibe that just came to me. I feel like I had to say that before I go to commercial break instead of just saying, why am I putting up these flyers? But to do it in love, knowing that the right person was going to look at that and reach out to you. So
Hmm.
excited about you moving forward in your big dream.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing with the world. Okay, everybody, I'm going to be right back after these quick commercials. So stay tuned.